Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Josh Black. I'm a figure drawing instructor, and I also teach anatomy here on YouTube, on Gumroad, and Proco.com. Today I'm excited to announce the release of my newest tutorial on how to draw the human hands. I wanted to provide you with a sample of what's in that tutorial. Here in this video, you'll see me do a series of three long dynamic poses of the hands while kind of giving pointers and tips on anatomy and on the landmarks of the hands. But before we dive into that, I wanted to do a brief overview of what's in this tutorial. As I said, it's about 5.5 hours of content, and I tried to include a little bit of something for everyone. For beginners, I have a couple of exercises that hopefully will help you become more comfortable with drawing hands if you don't have much experience doing that. And then I have sections that go more in depth into the bone structure and musculature of the hands, after which we do a series of several longer sustained dynamic poses, and then we'll go into a long sustained black and white rendering of the hand, where I'll give tips and pointers on how to approach the planes of the hands and how to approach just shading and lighting in general. So yeah, I do my best to throughout the video share pointers on again on the anatomy and what we're looking at with each different angle of the hand that we're approaching. And I really hope that this will help all of you out there who are wanting to become more proficient at drawing hands. I know just making this video has been very helpful for me too, so I hope it does the same for you. All right, enjoy the rest of this video, and until next time, bye. In this section, we're going to focus primarily on gesture, and after each sketch, I want to just quickly go over the anatomy, reviewing what we learned in the previous sections. All right, let's jump into it. Right now I'm just kind of blocking in the gesture of the fingers, kind of following the gesture of the knuckle lines. Again, I'm just doing a smooth, light and soft sketch right now to serve as a lay-in, so I can go back in once I feel a little more confident, and then add the details. So since the main theme of this pose is holding the stick here, I want to block out that three-dimensional shape of the stick and draw all the way through the hand, so it'll make it easier for me to then place the hand grabbing onto that prop. Just getting the gesture of the wrist, and now on the lateral side of the hand. So now I'm kind of placing where the knuckles would be. And now breaking up the mass of the fingers. See, now that I have this this foundation of this soft light gesture, I can go in with more confidence and place those secondary and tertiary shapes and use a darker, more confident line. Nice thing about the lighting with this particular image is that core shadow is really giving us a nice guide as to where the planes change on these fingers. So it'll make it easier for us to get some dimension with these fingers. Alright, now to the index finger. Now I'm going to try to line up where this distal phalanx joint lines up vertically with the tip of the thumb. Looks like it's pretty much right above it, so I can establish the point of the thumb, and then from there I can more easily find the rest of the shape of the thumb. Again, we have that nice core shadow to help us out here. Here we have the padding of the palm side of the hand. We have a cast shadow of that, the end of the stick that this hand's holding. And honestly, when you're doing your hand studies, especially if you're a beginner, I'd recommend spending the time to get really good reference that has strong lighting and high resolution. because it makes it so much easier to see the planes and to study them. These particular images are from Bodies in Motion, which I have a subscription to. It's great reference. Another great site for reference is proco.com. With their timer tool section, they have a lot of reference bundles that are also very high quality. Let's see, I'm going to make sure. Okay, good. There we go. I want to make sure you kind of draw through there. Okay, I'm going to quickly just gesture in the lighting here. I'm just going to do a little dash to show where the beginning of the fingernail would start on these. Erase some of these construction lines just to clean it up a little bit. Okay, here we have some nice folds. Let's get the cast shadow of the pinky on the stick here. And let's kind of accentuate some of these T overlaps that we have, meaning the shapes that overlap other shapes, just to pull that, really show that depth. We can add the core shadow on this elongated cylinder. Okay, I'm just going to darken the shadow shapes. Remember, this is just a gesture, so we're not going to go crazy with the rendering. Okay, I think we can stop there. I think that's a decent first gesture. I'm gonna just go in and kind of paint out some of these construction lines, just soften them a bit, especially this one here. Okay. And I'm going to just punch these core shadows a little bit more And I'm just going to add a few little dark accents just to make it pop a bit more. And let's do some wrapping lines here, and okay, I think we can stop. I mean, obviously we could keep going and adding more and more, but I think for a gesture this is not bad. So like I said before, we'll quickly kind of point out and highlight the anatomy, and then we'll move on to the next gesture. Save this real quick. All right, so we'll do a quick breakdown here of the anatomy of what we're looking at. Okay, I just got to remember this is a gesture. It's always tempting to add more onto these. I'm going to select the color red, and I'm just going to make some notes here for us. So this here is the thenar eminence. And here in between the thenar eminence and the hypothenar eminence, we have a little tendinous band that connects the two, and underneath that we have the carpal tunnel, which, again, recalling back to the previous sections, going over the anatomy and the bones, the carpals kind of form this bridge-like shape, and on the palm side of the hand, it creates this little tunnel that all of these tendons of the flexor muscles flows into the hand and spreads out into all the fingers. So that's good to remember. So remember, the primary knuckle line consists of the metacarpophalangeal joints. Metacarpo for metacarpals, phalangeal for phalanges. Joints, and those are ball and socket joints. And then we have the interphalangeal joints, which are hinge joints. Oops, hinge joints. Let's correct that. Hinge joints. And just a few tips here. You notice that kind of the profile of the thumb kind of looks like a little dog head. And that's a terrible dog. Just erase that. And again, that hypothenar eminence is this muscle belly here, or the thenar eminence, sorry. And then the hypothenar eminence is on the lateral side of the hand. I also wanted to point out how the thumb, notice how it's pointed towards the other fingers. And the fingers here, notice that they're all kind of pointed towards the palm of the hand. They're not going to come straight down like that. They're going to point towards the center of the palm. That's important to remember. And of course, with the wrist, remember, is formed by the ends of the ulna bone, and the ulna is going to be on the pinky side of the hand. And then we have the radius on the thumb side of the hand. All right, well, I think that's probably enough for this gesture. We'll move on to the next one. I hope you find these notes helpful, because I didn't just want to cover the anatomy just with the simple like front and back of the hand. I wanted to kind of review it with each new pose, just so it's easier for you to internalize and also to see it from different angles and poses of the hand. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. All right, on to pose number 2. Before I get started, I have a lot of people ask me like what resolution I use with my canvas size when drawing in Photoshop. This is Photoshop, by the way. I am drawing on a Wacom Cintiq 24 HD, and the canvas size is 10,000 pixels by 7,000 pixels. I find that works for me the best, especially when doing line work. All right, well, let's get started on this pose. I'm going to start off with blocking out the volume of that ball. Just wanted to give it some cross contours to show just to show some depth, and now I think it'll be easier for me to kind of gesture in the hand in relationship to the ball. So again, I'm going to start off with very kind of loose gestural lines for an initial lay-in. I'm not totally married to these just yet. I'm just using these as a lay-in, as something to react to. I'm blocking the gesture of the wrist, now the palm. Got that crease right by the pinky. Now I'm going to use a line here just to make sure the alignment of the fingertips is correct. And I'm going to do some gestural lines for the distal phalanx joints. Looks like those are more or less lined up. Same thing with the proximal middle phalanx joints. And so it looks like I'm going to have to move this back a little bit. Move the pinky over a little bit more to the screen left. That nice crease there. So this crease right here, that's actually caused by the bending of the metacarpal phalangeal joints. So that's nice to remember. And here we have the ulna bone protruding out for us. And notice how the wrist kind of slopes down a little bit before it swoops back into the gesture of the metacarpals. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good initial block in. So now we can kind of go in with more confident lines, knowing that we're at least in the ballpark. Let's go ahead and save this. Okay, so we'll go in and start sculpting out these secondary lines. I'm going to flush out or just rough in the creases of the knuckles here. And again, I'm just going to do a little dash to show where the back of the fingernail would be. I'm just going to block in that cast shadow from the pinky, and then the coarse shadow on this sphere. blocking in the coarse shadows on the side of the pinky here. And showing those the fat pads of the finger. Got a little dark accent here. You can see there's a little furrow there, kind of breaks the curve of the gesture of the hypothenar eminence. And you can see that little division of the padding of the hand right there. So I'm going to go ahead and indicate that. And here we have a strong cast shadow on the thenar eminence of the thumb. And then this area is a bit darker, so I'll just block that in. Again, we have that crease right there, and accentuate that little core shadow. Then it's casting a shadow right there underneath. There's a nice core shadow at the knuckle. And here we see a little bit of the webbing in between the pinky and the ring finger. Then we have that padding that's up against, pressing up against the ball. I think my alignment was a little off here, so looks like it's going to be a little further down. So I'm just moving the fingers down a bit. Because if I follow this crease here and go straight across, it lines up kind of with that little crease there. Get a bit more of the profile of the ring finger. I'll show off the knuckle there. See that core shadow coming down the ring finger, feeding into the knuckle of the pinky. So I'm just going to block that in. And there's a bit of a cast shadow right there on the middle finger. And if I follow that knuckle of the ring finger and kind of draw a little connecting line, I can see that this knuckle needs to move down on the ring finger. So I'm going to clean up, just erase all that mess. So you can see how important it is to like constantly check your alignments, especially in relationship to the positioning of the knuckles as they align with one another. That definitely serves as a very helpful guide to make sure they're in the proper location. And I'm just going to move this whole finger over just a hair. Just get the indication of the knuckle creases. See the little sliver of the profile of the middle finger nail, so I'll block that in. I'm going to get that core shadow there on the base of the middle finger. Now I can just kind of fill that in. And you always want to accentuate those T overlaps, and like this right here, where the pinky's overlapping the webbing of the finger. That's a nice T overlap you want to emphasize to give you more depth. Okay, so we have that cast shadow there, and then you can see the core shadow continues in between those two fingers. So I'll just block that in. I'm just kind of roughing in the halftones there. All right. So back to the palm. Again, we have these really nice core shadows that I'm going to take advantage of. I'll just add some. We'll block in the shadow shapes there. Some rough value. And here with that bony landmark of the ulna, we have a sharper core shadow, and then it feeds back into the wrist. I think I'm just going to add a little bit of halftone here. And some wrapping tones here, just to show the form of the thumb. Okay, maybe accentuate those tendons flowing into the carpal tunnel. And I think we're about done with this. Just going to add a little more of that mid halftone there on the fingers. And there we go. There's gesture number 2. And as before, we're going to just do a quick overview. And with a red line, we're going to highlight some of the anatomy. And okay, I'm going to stop. I think that's good enough for a gesture. Okay, I'm going to save this. All right, so I'm going to select red, and we'll do what we did before. I just wanted to highlight how the top side of the hand, you have these harder edges and straighter lines. So like here's straighter, straighter, and then on the palm side of the hand, you have these kind of softer curves to show the padding of the fingers. The same with the palm. You have these kind of softer curves to show the thinner eminence of the thumb and the hypothenor eminence of the pinky. And on the back side, you have the bone that creates these straighter lines. So that's kind of the theme of the hand as far as straights versus curves. And here you kind of have an opportunity to showcase this planar change here. And this line kind of shows the gesture of the underlying phalange bones, and then feeding into the knuckles. Again, just quickly going over the anatomy of the finger. The phalanges closest to the palm are called the proximal phalanges. Then the middle are called the middle phalanges. And the fingertips are called the phalanx. The distal phalanx or distal phalange. Oh, it's just one E, I think, and an S. Yeah, remember, middle finger is typically the longest, followed by the ring finger, then the index finger, and then the pinky is the shortest by far. And then the thumb. Let's see, let's move that out of the way. Here we have the hypothenor eminence. Here's the muscle belly of the thenar eminence. And again, you see the protrusion of the ulna. That feeds into the pinky. And yeah, remember the fingers at the metacarpophalangeal joint here, that allows the fingers to, spread apart like that. But these hinge joints of the phalangeal joints, they can only move up and down. So like this. So that's just a very crude drawing. But usually, that's just like a 90-degree angle movement. And then I can straighten out the finger. I know I keep repeating a lot of these points, but I'm hoping that through repetition, a lot of these will be easier to internalize for you. Okay, I think we're... oh, and one last point. Again, these muscles here within the hand are called the intrinsic muscles. And there's not many of them. Of course, there's more than just those those two muscle bellies. You have the dorsal interossei, the first dorsal interosseous, and then you have the lumbricals, which the lumbricals, they kind of are embedded in between the metacarpals on the palm side of the hand, and they kind of help with spreading out the fingers and then pulling them in together. And then on the back side of the hand, you have the dorsal interossei, which again flank the metacarpals, but on the back side of the hand, and they kind of serve a similar function. And then the first dorsal interosseous is kind of on the back side of the thumb, and we'll go over that on a different pose. But all the forearm muscles serve as the extrinsic muscles of the hand, and a lot of the strength of the hand comes from those extrinsic muscles, the flexors and the extensors, that I actually went over in my arm tutorial, in case you want to look at that. Okay, let's move on to pose number 3. Okay, here's pose number 3. Same approach. I'll just start with a soft lay-in. And here I'm going to kind of draw through the form to find the alignment of the fingers and their knuckles. Block in the gesture of the thumb here. Now the gesture of the palm as it feeds into the wrist here. And here we can kind of see the metacarpal of the thumb. And then we see the tendons of the thumb kind of forming that snuff box that they use back in the old world. I'm kind of using the core shadows there to block in more of the shape. So here I can see that knuckle, that first knuckle of the thumb, and that's where the proximal phalange meets the metacarpal of the thumb. And I can, from there, kind of block out these folds of the skin, kind of stretching out and then feeding into the crease. And here is the second joint of the thumb. And there's only two joints, two phalangeal joints of the thumb, unlike the other four fingers that have three. However, unlike the other fingers, the thumb has a hinge joint at the base of its metacarpal that meets up with the carpal bones, and that actually gives it a lot more range of motion, which allows your opposable thumb to kind of meet up with all your fingertips, and allows you to do a lot of amazing things like holding tools and performing all sorts of different tasks. So yeah, down here you have that hinge. It's a saddle joint. Sorry, I think I said hinge joint earlier. I meant saddle joint. What a saddle joint is here. I'll just do a quick kind of drawing of it. So it's almost like two saddles kind of sitting within each other, and that allows for quite a bit of motion, somewhat similar to a ball and socket joint, but not quite as much. Hopefully this little sketch makes sense. Probably did that a little too quick. Hold on, I'm gonna draw over it, clean it up for you so it's easier to see. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm just going to label that saddle joint. And again, that's what is at the base of the metacarpal of the thumb as it connects to the carpal bones at the base of the hand, at the base of the palm. Okay, I'm going to erase that now. Sorry, I should just go ahead and draw this and then we can do the notes afterwards. See, nice cast shadow. It's actually covering the middle finger, so you can't quite see the middle finger. And we have the gesture of the ring finger, and then the pinky on the lateral side of the hand. So yeah, that knuckle is very prominent. We got those crease lines right there. As I said, you can kind of see that gesture of that metacarpal bone of the thumb. And that's why it's like helpful to learn the anatomy, especially when you're doing, more realistic hands. So when you're drawing, you know what you're looking at and kind of how to simplify it because you know the underlying structure. Do some wrapping tones here. And here we can get that. There's a little core shadow formed by that concave structure of the snuff box. Again, that's formed by the two prominent tendons of the thumb. Just going to soften that a bit. It's not quite so strong. And when your hand forms a fist, you can really see the engagement of those flexor tendons that flow into the carpal tunnel. So those are going to be a little more pronounced. Okay, I'm going to revisit those creases now. So another crease here. Just block that in. Crease this one. I'm going to soften that just a bit. Okay, so I'm going to start blocking out the index finger. You kind of notice how those creases point right towards the knuckle, the respective knuckle. A little cast shadow there, and these little core shadows. Nice little dark accent there. A little core shadow, that crease of the proximal phalange. There's a bit of a crease there, and the flesh kind of bulges, the skin bulges there. So I want to indicate that. Okay, I'm just gonna use some straights to block out the back of the hand. And again, accentuate, oops, little too dark. Accentuate the core shadows. Just kind of fill that in a bit more. Okay, so I think we're good on gesture number 3. Again, we'll do the same process. We'll go over just some anatomy notes, and then we'll move on to number 4. All right, let's save this. Oh wait, hold on. We gotta kind of block in the half-tones here of these creases. Feels a bit more natural. Okay. Just going to turn that into a big dark accent there. And add a dark accent there where the finger tucks into the hand, the pinky. And then just add some gestural lines to kind of show us where those phalangeal joints are. All right, and I think we can call it. Okay, we'll save it. All right, so again, I'm going to select the red. So as I was saying before, I'm going to do a darker red. The thumb just has 2 phalangeal joints, whereas the other fingers have 3. And then down here, the base of the metacarpal bone of the thumb forms a saddle joint as it meets up with the carpal bones at the base of the hand. And that saddle joint gives you a similar range of motion to a ball and socket joint. And that's what allows your thumb to move around as much as it does and to do all the wonderful things that it does. I just realized I need to add some more folds here on the thumb, this crease. It's looking a bit just going to soften those a little bit now. I don't know. Maybe it looked better without it. Never mind. Okay. So back to the notes. Again, back of the hand has the harder edges and provides us with more of the straights. And then the palm side of the hand provides us with more of those curves. And then here is the notorious snuff box. So I guess back in the day they'd snuff their their drugs there, whatever it was, their opium or weed or I don't even know, or cocaine. Shows how much I know about those drugs. Um, I better just stop talking about it. And then again, you can see the pronounced protrusion of the flexor tendons that feed into the carpal tunnel, down here of the carpal bones. And yeah, the first dorsal interosseous would be about here, but it's so stretched it's kind of harder to see. Maybe there's that little indication of it right there. But okay, I think that's enough for pose number 3, and we'll move on to number 4. Before we move on to the next one, I just wanted to show you, I just added a little more value and some wrapping tones around that round form of the base of the thumb, just to give it a little more form and depth and perspective. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that. Notice how those marks kind of wrap around the thumb to kind of show you the perspective of it. So yeah, that's another useful tool to show the turning of form and to show volume and perspective. Okay, so now we're ready to move on to number 4. One final note, I am sorry, I forgot to mention this. This is really important. Again, notice that the fingers, they're all pointed towards the thumb. All of these arrows are pointing towards kind of the base of the thumb there. Again, they're not just going straight, straight down. They're curving towards the base of the thumb. So that's something, and that happens whenever you clench a fist. You can try it yourself. Just clench a fist and look at your fingers and see where they're pointed, and you'll notice that's actually true. They do point towards the base of the thumb. So that was just something I wanted to share real quick, and now we can move on to the next one.